Welcome back to Retrieving Sanity, a podcast where we dive into the depths of mental health one laugh at a time. I'm your host, Keegan, and I'm here to talk about everything from anxiety and depression to self-care and finding joy in the everyday. Because, let's face it, life can suck, but we don't have to navigate it alone. Retrieving Sanity is a partner with Podcast for Prevention, an initiative from Start Day 1 that aims to prevent suicide and promote mental health awareness. Together, we're working to break the stigma and create a more supportive community. So, grab a cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and let's retrieve our sanity together. Alright, and 5. Hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with the podcast host Keegan, and this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. And today we have a very special guest. He has a super interesting story, and he has a very inspiring story, and his name is Nathan. I'm not going to butcher your last name because I already forgot. But he is a motivational speaker. He's overcome a lot of hardships in his life, and he's also done something that's kind of unconventional to a lot of people. And he's honestly done such an amazing job at it, and he's willing to share everything with us. So, Nathan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from? And what's your story like? What makes your story your story?
So, yeah, Nathan Buttigieg from Victoria, Australia, in South Gippsland, which is kind of like a farming rural area at the minute. 2020, when I was 22, I had lost everything, my job, the girl I was with, the house, the car, everything, massive financial problems. If I didn't have parents that were in the position they're in, I would have been completely homeless. So I moved back in with mum and dad, and after that came a lot of alcohol abuse and drug abuse to try to cope with the fact that it felt like I'd failed, like everything working up to progressing my life and moving forward. Mm-hmm. And then went through all the trials and tribulations of being an addict and walking in shame and all that kind of stuff, and then got rid of it all, and now I go to gym and speak a lot and motivate people and work with people one-on-one to get them over the same humps and the same mindset blocks that I had, and get them in shape and get them loving themselves, being proud of themselves, confident, and
Heck yeah, man. That is, first of all, a heartbreaking story, but at the same time, it's so inspiring because you're on the other side of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good story now.
And that's the thing, is that a lot of people don't really get to the other side of that story, And so you're now over here and you're helping other people through it. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, whenever the pandemic hit, your life just went all sorts of sideways, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, everything. Yeah, like I said, I was working at a gym at the time, which I loved, but they were obviously forced to close down. And then because I was I had a proper house, the payments on that I couldn't pay anymore, so that ran up debt. And I remember sleeping for like 3 days straight. I was so depressed and felt so hopeless and didn't know where to go, because I don't like asking for help that much, especially when I have nothing to give. Even from my parents, I didn't want to come back and say I need a place to stay. I'm literally homeless and got no other options. But they were happy to help. Mum was so happy to take me in. She said she's glad that I came back. But man, I know what it feels like to be hopeless and not see a way out, and how hard a step is when it just doesn't feel like there's any point taking it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's going on 4 years sober for me, and it's been first of all, the start of it was the hardest thing ever. Getting the momentum was also difficult, but keeping the momentum is kind of easier, right?
Yeah. I think once you're out of the kind of victim mentality that you stay in as a addict or as an alcoholic, you kind of focus on that who you are is way more valuable than what you can do or what you're bringing. So you kind of start valuing like the person and the energy and the inspiration you can give to other people. You kind of take yourself out of yourself, where you stop being selfish, you stop just pleasure seeking and worrying about your problems, and you kind of take on like, you get more connected to everything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, you said something about hopelessness, though. And that is one of those things that everyone is always wanting, is a little bit of hope, right?
Mm.
Uh, so how would you describe that level of hopelessness? Because I know what it's like, and it's really difficult to describe. But what would you put it like in your own words?
Yeah, I just remember like when everything went bad, when I'd kind of realized like I have no other options. I remember like going to sleep. I was on like just a mattress on the floor. I was going to sleep, and I'd wake up and then realize I have nothing to do and there's nothing like that's gonna work. And then I would just go back to sleep. And then I would do it again. I wake up again, you know, like 8 hours later, and then have the same realization that like I'm stuffed. There's nothing, you know, and I just go back to sleep. And that's what real depression is. It's like you're frozen. You don't fucking like you can't do anything. You know what I mean? But the only option, and I'm lucky I had it, is that I had people, my parents, that were in a position where they could house me, and I just had to kind of overcome this ego thing of asking for help, and go to them and say like, look, I'm stuffed. If you can help, I'll take it because I got no other option.
Yeah,
And my
man.
parents are loving. Like they stayed together my whole childhood. They would have, if I asked anything of them, they would try to make it happen. But it was really an ego thing. I don't like asking for help too much, which is a massive flaw for anyone that does that as well. You need to be able to go to someone. You need to be able to identify your problem and then seek solutions out of it. And if the seeking solution is asking someone for help, then that's what needs to be done. You know.
Yeah. It's super awesome that your parents were there for you because, again, not everyone's parents are.
That's right.
And I'm so glad that they were because my parents are also the same way because they were who I had to go to whenever hit my absolute rock bottom, you know.
Hmm.
So it's interesting that no matter who you are, if you're in Texas or somewhere across the world,
Yeah.
we're in trouble. We go to our parents, and I think that's one thing that doesn't ever really go away. Um,
It's always who you love that changes you. Like you want to be better
mm,
for those people because they were like maybe not your parents, maybe it's your kids, maybe it's like your girlfriend, or maybe it's like you know just a friend or something like that. This
mhm,
person, whoever it is, has showed you so much love your entire life, and when you get to the point of realization that you like aren't really deserving of it, you're like, well, I want to fucking create someone that's deserving of it. You know, I want to create someone that like makes them proud, and so they don't have to love the person. They can like choose to because I'm like giving so much value and bringing different energy and like and a positive impact to them, not just someone they're dragging around trying to like help all the time. And yeah,
mhm. Yeah, and it's awesome that you have this mentality of putting growth and putting something back into other people. Because in addiction, I know that I was a drain on everyone and everything. And I had no idea about it until really the very end. And
yeah,
I was always just going, you know, like my problems aren't the alcohol.
mm,
I knew how to solve problems. It was
yeah,
alcohol.
yeah. You
Um,
really think that's the solution? You really
hmm
do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so obviously because I knew what the solution was, it was alcohol, so I just obviously didn't have enough. And
Hmm.
it just never proved to be enough. And then at one point for me, it actually turned into active like suicidal drinking, but I could just never drink enough.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I got to
and
I don't know about suicidal, but I got to points where I was drinking like 20 plus drinks a night, and the only
mm,
time I would stop drinking is if like one, I passed out, or two,
mhm,
if like it was too cold outside and I had to come inside because I was living in my parents' place. I was living
mhm,
in their house. So if it was too cold, I'd come inside, and I guess I wouldn't drink that much inside. But if I was
Mm-hmm.
outside and it was warm or whatever, I'd just drink until I passed out in the seat I was in.
Yeah, and those feelings were some of the worst, weren't they?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
just sitting
you
there.
look back at them. I look back at because when you're drunk, you take a lot of videos and you think you're having fun and doing well and stuff like that. I look back at the videos. I'm like, God damn! Like, there's one on my Instagram page of like I do like a highlight reel of like that and then and yeah, some of them it's just like, God damn, it's so fucking hurt. You know, like the person
Mm-hmm.
just looks like they do hate everything. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, in active addiction, that version of me did hate everything,
Yeah,
and hated myself,
that's it.
and yeah, there was just no way out of it though, or so I thought.
Yeah,
You
well, that's
know?
the thing. You hit the nail on the head. You hate yourself, so you're going to hate everything else by default. You can't give anything that you don't possess. That's why
Mm-hmm.
we start with personal development. We start with that person, going to gym, eating right, getting their daily habits right, and then they can build like love in themselves so they can give it away, and then they'll get out of victim mindset, and then they'll start caring about their people more than them, and then they'll start caring about how they show up and all that kind of stuff. But it all stems from like the individual. You're participating in habits on a daily basis that are doing the opposite of making you proud, in the form of making you shameful, making you guilty. These things don't make you feel fulfilled. So if you're not filled with anything, if you're not filled with positive, you have nothing to give.
Yeah, I love that. So you're kind of saying that habits are really the essential part of a foundation,
That's
right?
right. You need positive habits. And you need to get rid of the negative ones.
Mm-hmm.
The actions that you participate in frequently create a vibration within you, like a frequency. And if that
Mm-hmm.
frequency is staying at guilt, if that frequency is staying at shame, if that frequency is staying at fear, which are low frequency states, then you can't ever like progress through who you're supposed to be as like an individual. You can never get better if your habits are shit. They have to
Mm-hmm.
be positive habits. They have to be ones that make you proud of yourself. When you like say no to that meal and have the meal you're supposed to have, you're like, God damn, I'm a stud. No one does this stuff. When you wake up early and you go to gym, you're like, God damn, I look good as in the gym today. When you're like reading a book, you're like, oh my God, I'm literally I'm doing things that are making me better instead of doing things that I know are making me worse.
Mm-hmm. And those things that edify us really build us up. They build that foundation. And I think that whenever we build ourselves up in that manner, it really does kind of reverberate to the others and to
That's right.
the
Yeah.
out to the rest of our world,
Yeah,
you know.
you'll when you start vibrating high, you'll start getting more opportunity. People will want to start talking to you more. Kids will
Mhm.
start smiling when you walk past them. Like dogs will want to like it's just you fully become more connected to like everything that is when you like
Mhm.
can raise that vibration, and it starts with daily habits. It starts with positive action towards building like yourself and getting away from everything that is doing the opposite.
Mhm. And I love how you're talking about vibrations and everything, because I just love metaphysics in the first place. But I got to ask, is that one reason why you like going to the gym? Because it's kind of, there's a lot of actual physical science behind it, but in the metaphysical terms, you're moving, so you're actually increasing your how much you're vibrating, right?
I
So
just
it
I just come
gets
from
you out of that.
I come from a place of like self audit. When you're
Mm,
like in a low vibrational state or even like a neutral state, you're not
mm-hmm,
talking much. You're not pushing conversation. Your thoughts are at like maybe you're doubting yourself or maybe you just don't care about much. And when you're in high vibrational states, like especially like after the gym or after like a
mm-hmm,
run or something like that, you want to talk to people, you want to be positive, you've got all this like that energy inside of you, and that's what I'm talking about with
mm-hmm.
vibration. I don't know like the science stuff of it. I kind of stay away from like all that kind of stuff because it changes all the
Oh
time.
yeah.
I just go with like my self audit. If I'm like this, if I'm high vibrational, if I'm like wanting to talk and bringing through wisdom and bringing up truth, that tells me I'm in a high vibrational state. And this is where you want to be when you're talking with new people, when you're going through the world. You'll do better for sure. But like I said, it all starts with the right habits. You can't be in this kind of state if you're not acting in a positive way. You can't attract if you're not doing actions that are bettering you. It just won't happen.
Yeah, the law of attraction, things like that. You get in what you put out, essentially.
That's right. Yeah. There's like, do you know like the 12 laws of the universe?
I know of them. If you asked me to list them off the top of my head, I'd say no.
Yeah. I'm the same. But law of attraction is one, and law of compensation is the other. Law of compensation means like whatever you put in to the world, and putting in is also bringing a better you and making people better and building yourself up, even if it's just like you're in a better mood or whatever. Then you'll be given back by the universe what you put in.
It's so strange how that works, isn't it?
Yeah. The law of attraction, everyone gets messed up because they think it's like, they think it's like if you think about it, then it'll happen. But it's actually talking about like a vibrational state. If you're acting in a way of what you want, that's why it's law of attraction. The end bit is action. If you're acting in the way that you want, like the outcome to be, then you will get it, and that's that. But yeah.
Yeah, it kind of goes with that one saying that luck is just how hard you work, or something like that.
Yeah, the harder you work, the more lucky you are.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And that's one of those things is that whenever I first started on getting better and stuff, I was looking for those immediate results. And these kind of results are not something that come overnight, you know?
Yeah.
So how do you tell people to stay motivated whenever they're starting to get on any kind of recovery journey or trying to get better for whatever reason?
Yeah, I was doing a team call yesterday. Someone asked the same thing because I post on my Instagram story of me doing all these workouts and all this kind of stuff. Every day I show it because I like to lead from the front. He asked the same thing. How do you stay so motivated? And I said, you play for the after. All right. With whatever you're doing, you're thinking about after you do it, how do you feel? So before a workout, you're not really wanting to do it, but after the workout, you're feeling wanting to do everything, right? Before drinking, you really want to do it, and it's like really fun. And but after, you feel guilty and shameful because you act like an idiot. And it's the same with like doing drugs. Before you're like all excited to go buy it, and then then afterwards you want to like thinking about killing yourself for a week. You know what I mean? Like, you play for the after. If the action makes you feel like you're fulfilled and proud and a good human being on the other side, you play for that. Like, these things, like going to gym and stuff, you'll never feel like you really want to do them. Maybe once in a blue moon, but every day I wake up, I'm like, oh, shit. But I just know, like, once I get into it, I'll be the person I want to be on the other side of it, and everything will be better.
Man, I love that. Because that reminds me a lot of saying in the recovery rooms and stuff for substance abuse, and that's play the tape through. So whenever I get a craving for alcohol or something like that, it's, hey, play the tape through. Like, if I pick up a drink and start using, what's going to happen, and all this crap is going to happen. Do I want that? No. So do I drink or do I use? No. Crisis averted. Ta-da. Yeah. But you're saying that use that same principle but twist it for the good. Say,
that's right.
Hey, this makes me feel good, so I'm going to do it because I know after I do it, it's going to make me feel good.
Yeah, feel good in a way of like, I feel like I'm a good human being, because you feel good when you do drugs, but afterwards, like, you feel like the biggest piece of shit in the world. You don't want to look at anyone or anything like that. So
no,
there's a saying, it's regret is the guideline. If you can remove everything in your life that brings you regret and shame, your life will instantly get better. And if you can add on top of that everything that makes you feel proud and fulfilled, you'll be living like the life that you're supposed to live.
Huh. Wow. That is a saying I have not heard, but it carries a lot of wisdom in there.
Yeah, it's cool.
that actually carries a lot with it, and I'm going to have to find that and write it down
It's
because
a it's a Wes Watson quote. Regret is the guideline.
okay,
Yeah.
regret is the guideline. Sorry, I have a small speech impediment.
No, well, that's all good.
um,
That's what I do with my high level clients. One of
mm-hmm,
their everyone will do like a reflection sheet, and people
mm-hmm,
will usually say like, think of something you're grateful for. But it's actually
mm-hmm.
really easy to be grateful for things when you're acting in a way of being fulfilled and proud of yourself. You're grateful for everything. You're just like, oh my god, this like bottle of water is the best bottle of water ever, because you're operating at high frequency. So the reflection sheet is, what did you do that you regret today, and then you change that for the next day. And if you can do that every day, or if you get to days where like I don't regret anything, I lived exactly how I wanted to live today, then that you're winning. That's you're living the best life you could ever live if you're that. And you
Huh.
build on top of that.
That's a really cool little exercise. I think I'm going to have to start doing that because in recovery, we have a lot of people do gratitude lists. So
Hmm.
say something I'm grateful for every day. And by all means, it works. And
Hmm.
it does actually get people out of a hole. Like if I'm kind of struggling, it can make me go, okay, yeah, there are some good things still, you know. But I really like that because that is it seems like it's kind of going along with what you were saying earlier with that self order
Hmm.
um, kind of
The
thing.
it forces accountability. It
Mm-hmm.
forces you to look at your actions throughout the day and then realize which ones are hindering you. Because
Mm-hmm.
once you remove everything that makes you regret, once you remove everything that makes you feel shameful and guilty, you'll be
Mm-hmm.
grateful by default. That's a default setting if you remove everything that's negative.
Yeah. So you kind of think that people are by default good and happy, and it's all the crap that we kind of carry with us that
It's
makes us.
exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What if, as a human being, we were like this massively enlightened, hugely energetic human that just wants to help everyone all the time? And like, what if we're that by default, and we
Mm-hmm.
just add in everything that suppresses that as like a culture where like drinking is fun and doing
Mm-hmm.
drugs is badass and like shitting on people is like what you do if they're succeeding. What if we remove all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
with the food as well, food and video
Mm-hmm.
games and all this kind of stuff? What if we remove all the things that we regret? We're at a default setting where we want to be better, where we want to get out of where we are.
Yeah. And I think that's the utopia version of the world I want to be in, right?
Hmm.
Because that's my same theory is that by default, people are good, willing to help others, want to help others, will give people the shirt off their back, you know,
That's
stuff
right.
like
Yeah.
that. But we have, like you said, this culture, this society sits there and we almost applaud people whenever people treat other people badly.
Yeah.
Um, and that right there dissuades people from acting good in the first place because then they get shit on.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, well, what gives? Like,
Yeah,
and
or like you get treated bad and you go and treat someone bad because you did.
mm-hmm,
And there's just so much perpetuation of like, you
mm-hmm,
know, even pharmaceutical drugs or food or video games or like all these things that like just ruin our like vibration like I was talking about and
mm-hmm.
fill you with like I'm wasting my life talk in your head.
Yeah. And it's really easy to fall into those pitfalls of negative things because they make us feel so good in the moment, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, what we're
And
doing regularly, we want to do more of. So if you're
yeah.
winning regularly, you want to win more in the way of moving forward as like a person.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing nothing regularly, you want to do nothing more. That's why people struggle so much with motivation. If you're doing negative regularly, you want to do more negative. That's how people end up in jail and committing suicide and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate, but I find it really interesting that we somewhat create that whole situation, kind of like what you were saying earlier with that law of attraction thing.
Yeah.
But we can break out of it too. but that's the hard part, right? Is that breaking out. So whenever someone is trying to break out of their shell, what is one of the things that you struggled with the most? And you had said something about asking for help and your ego. Um, and do you think there was something else along those lines that kind of really made it really difficult?
Yeah, you need a vision and a goal.
Ooh.
Not a goal is like, I want to earn $5,000 this year, or like not a small goal. I mean like a vision of who you want to be. Who do you want to become? What's the most ideal version of you? If you were in a game creating a person, that was you, and that's how you would live your life. What would that look like? What would they dress like? What would they show up like? Where would they live? What car would they have? You need to build this dream life that you're working towards. Because the reason why we get so stuck is because we don't know anything else. When there's no dreams and goals, there's no accountability for not pursuing them. You don't care. It's just like, oh, I just want to feel better on that day. I just want to feel better, and that feeling better could be drinking or doing drugs and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, everyone needs a vision of who they want to become as an individual, as a person, who they want to give to us, and what life they want to live out of that. What do you want to do every day? If there was money wasn't an issue, and getting it wasn't an issue, you don't need to think about how you're going to get it or how you're going to be there. What would that life look like, and who would you be?
Man, I think that's a really good question, because I think that money factor is something that will hold a lot of people back from trying to even be their best self.
Yeah, this isn't something that you need to think about how you're going to afford it and how you're going to make it happen. I'm just wanting to know, like, what it looks like with no other rules. And, like, you start talking to someone about it and breaking down, like, oh, I want to be like a brain surgeon. It's like, why do you want to be a brain surgeon? It's like, oh, because, like, I got told I was stupid my whole life. It's like, well, you're still caring about what other people think. You got to, like, what do you and your heart want to be? And they're like, well, I don't know what I want to be. It's like, well, that's what we need to get at. That's what we need to be.
Yeah. And how do you think people should create their vision if they don't have any idea of how to actually create one? Because that can be something that, like you said, if we're hopeless, beyond hope and everything, it's hard to have vision in the first place, right? So I guess it starts with hope, and maybe hope for a vision, maybe. But a vision is kind of right there with the goal, so the goal and the vision should go hand in hand, right? Or is one more long-term than the other?
I think addicts have a very good way of committing to things. It's very easy for an addict or someone that struggled with substance or alcohol to commit to something fully, right? That's why we get strung up on relationships and stuff like that, because we're so invested. This was like gonna be our entire life, So I think once we get the first thing is action. You need to get rid of negative actions and move towards positive actions, and then we need to get you focused on a better life. And I think, I know that with addicts, it's very easy for them to commit to that better life and just accept that as them now. That's who we're going to be. I'm going to go after that. Because if you look at hyper successful people, one of the things is, like, one, nothing's ever good enough, and two, like, that's all that matters is their dream life and their vision and what they're going for. And addicts are that way because the addicts are committed to something that they know is fucking them up. They know is ruining their life, but they're still committed to it. So we just got to switch that and get you committed on, something that's bettering it and you bringing your best to other people.
Yeah, and so switching up the mindset is one of the key things whenever it comes to just getting better. And this is all kind of circling back around, right? So I guess my question is, what event was it that finally made your brain go, I'm going to finally change? I'm going to finally get my shit together. I'm going to love myself again. I'm sure that you maybe had a little one here, a little one there, or maybe they came in stages. Maybe it came after you even asked your parents for help. But which one was the one that stood out the most? The one where it kind of was like, I finally got this,
Yeah, I think it was just massive guilt and shame that I like we said before. I had these people in my life that loved me and that wanted me to do well in life and were proud of me by default. And it was I just felt massively shameful and massively guilty that I didn't feel like they were saying like, "Oh, we're proud of you," and I'm like, "You shouldn't be proud of me. Like, I'm a fuck up." You know what I mean? So I just wanted to like make their pride justified. I felt just hugely shameful and guilty that I was doing all these things that I knew were bad for me because then I wasn't good for them people. You need to take yourself out of yourself. You need to start being good for other people and stop worrying about how your feelings are and what you're doing to feel good. You need to start worrying about how you're showing up for other people. And that will make you feel massively guilty and hugely shameful. And it's not going to fucking feel good. But then that not feeling good is going to spark you to do something about it.
Yeah, that's true. And whenever it comes to like, I want to jump back to that willful kind of statements that you were talking about, because addicts are damn good at willpower. Because, like you said, we're addicted to things that are destroying our life. And so whenever people say no, an addict doesn't have any willpower, they're wrong, but it's just misguided.
Yeah.
And so you're sitting here trying to help people re-guide all of that into building better habits, a strong foundation, and loving themselves. And I think one of the things that goes along with that is that support system. And all this culminated together puts you to where you are today. So for like your vision, where do you see yourself going forward?
Just got to keep doing the same stuff I'm doing every day. I'm going to have conversations with people. I'm going to go to gym. I'm going to eat the right food. I'm going to build on top of that kind of foundation. And then I'm going to, move. I want to move away to Gold Coast next year. I want to drive crazy cars. I want to earn a lot of money. People get all weird when you talk about money, but you need money to experience life to the fullest and to be able to help more people than ever. It's just the people with the most money have the most impact, so it's going to need to be a thing. Just yeah. So it's just that. It's just I want to be bigger than I am now. I want to be more jacked. I want to have more energy. I want to be more confident. I want to fear nothing. I want to that.
That's awesome. So you're essentially saying you found the base model where you're at now, and you just want to keep improving that. And
there's stuff that will always stay. There's daily habits. Like we were saying before, it's very easy for an addict to be committed to something. I'm committed to waking up early. I'm committed to going to gym. I'm committed to eating the right food. I'm committed to like my second workouts and reading and all that kind of stuff. That stuff I'm all committed to. That stuff will stay whether I'm earning 10 million or where I'm at now in a tiny house on my parents' property. That stuff will stay. But you that keeps your vibration high. That keeps you able to move through life and better it, because you've got a foundation of bettering yourself and not the opposite.
And I love that too, what you said with whether you're in a certain situation whenever it comes to living or making a certain amount of money, those things don't matter, because you're going to get your routines done. Your habits are going to be completed. And that right there is also integrity, because you're not going to sit there and let old you come in and convince you that, hey, you don't need to do your workout today. You can sleep in.
Yeah,
right?
well, I don't understand why people would get rid of the things that changed them in the first place, or get rid of the things that like pushed them out of the point in the first place. Waking up early and going to gym when I woke up and eating right was the main thing that got me out of being a victim and fucking going to cocaine every second day and drinking every day. Like, that's the main thing. So they will always stay. I would never give them up.
Yeah, and I think that is really good, and that was something that I was even taught in rehab, was keep doing what you were doing to get better. And it makes sense, because why would I give up something if it was making me better? But yeah, I think it's because a lot of people get comfortable, they get complacent. And I think that that's the dangerous part, is complacency, saying, I think I'm good where I'm at, I'm not going to try
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. They got to understand that, because you get to this point where like everything's good in your life. Well, like, oh my God, I did it, right? I did it. I did it.
Yeah.
I don't need to work so hard because I did it. And the thing is, as soon as you stop working on bettering yourself, you start getting worse. So things start getting worse. Now you're struggling in your relationship. Now all your work's annoying and people are frustrating you and all that kind of stuff. It's staying on the work that's the biggest importance. Staying on the things that build you.
Yeah, and it does take a lot of work. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people kind of get pushed away from, is because it does get easier, but it doesn't necessarily get easy.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
There's two things. It's like everyone always talks about burnout. Like, what about when I reach burnout? It's like, well, you're not reaching burnout. You're reaching the next level. You're reaching where old you would have tapped before. So if you can push through it, then you'll get better, and you'll realize the next bit of what you are. Because you can do a lot more than you think you can. It's just the way it is. And then the other thing I forgot, but it was important.
No worries if that.
Wait, what was the question again?
Oh man. I already forgot the question too.
Yeah.
Because
too stuck in the moment.
Yep. But hey, that's a good point that we can jump off of, being in the moment. Because sometimes we're so caught up in the past that we can't be in the moment.
Oh, I remembered.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, people always say the like the workouts are hard, the eating's hard, all this kind of stuff is hard. The life before that was harder, and it always is. Okay.
Ooh.
Life being hating yourself and hating everything else and not giving a shit. Life guilty, shameful all the time. Life if you struggle with your weight. Life being fat, always checking what you look like to make sure you don't look fat. That life is harder than the new life. The new life that's going to build you. I'll get mornings now where I'm like almost crying in my car with how much I love my life. Like, I'm fantasizing about how good it's going to be and looking forward. Like, the work may be difficult, but the way you live is way easier than that pleasure-seeking, indulging life.
And I think that is really important to focus on, and you have that active imagination for something to keep driving you forward. Have you seen those pictures online where it's like a truck with a pole with a magnet on the front of it, and they're like, I figured out how to make a car run forever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that is what it sounds like you're doing with yourself. You've got that vision set in front of you, and you've got these habits behind you that are pushing you towards it. And it's something that is just it's exactly the opposite of your addiction.
Yeah. When you like I said before, when you're operating in a way where your daily habits are all positive, and you're really doing what makes you like fulfilled in the way of just being a better individual, it's super easy to be grateful, and then it's super easy to like almost get downloads for what to do next, because you're at like the peak of your level. You're at like you're the best you ever right now. So like if you are, then you're going to get ideas and opportunities that are going to make you better and better and better and better and better. But you can't be there. You can't get the level 10 idea if you're at level 2 and you're still struggling with drinking. You know what I mean? You have to progress through that level and then get yourself right. Start eating right. Start going to gym. Start getting them daily habits sorted, and then keep building on top of that.
Yeah, and one of the things that I also kind of want to focus on, or maybe not focus on, but get your take on, is you're saying again, to have these habits that build us up, that make us better people, essentially. So, in our addictions, we could be dicks, right? So, do you have like a list of 3 or 5 things to not do, to not be a dick, to
To,
be,
like, well, you
to
gotta
be,
like, you gotta like I said, you gotta get yourself out of self. You gotta stop caring about just you and your feelings and how people are impacting you, and
mhm,
start caring about other people. That's why the last step for AA and everything is to help someone else do it, because
mhm,
that when you really take your like transcend self, when you start caring about like everything that is, or the universe, or God, or other people, way more than yourself. And you're like, I'm just gonna do some stuff um, which, by the way, bettering yourself is a gift to everyone else because you're bringing them a different you. You're bringing them a better you. So
mhm.
yeah, it's that's the biggest thing.
The biggest thing, and yeah, so after that, everything else just falls downward, and fills
Oh
all those
shit! I
other
think we
cups.
froze.
Hello.
Are you there? Yeah, I got you
Yep.
again. Sorry. I don't know whether that was me or you. Probably me.
It's every now and then, one or the others will just kind of like the screen will freeze, but the audio will keep going, or
Yeah, yeah.
the yeah. So, no worries.
We're back. We're back. We're back. What's up, everyone? We're still here.
We're still here. No worries. But trying to build up oneself takes a lot of work, and sometimes it does take that outside perspective, because maybe we don't necessarily know what parts of us to change. Did you have to get some outside perspective on things to change about yourself?
The thing that was unique about my story is I got completely sober on my own. I didn't reach out for
Mm,
any outside help. The only people that helped me were my parents, and then I self-sourced information. So I
and
didn't do any meetings, I didn't do groups, I didn't um, anything like that. Maybe it would have been better and easier, and I wouldn't have to be alone so much. But being alone, it taught me a lot. It taught me to love being alone, and it taught me to listen
mhm.
to myself, and it taught me to concentrate on what my heart's telling me over, my impulses or desires or indulging or whatever. It yeah, the people that really impact the world go through a massive point of being alone and figuring
Mhm.
out who they are and what they want from themselves. It's hugely important. So yeah, I didn't get any outside help. I didn't get in any groups. There was no one that knew I was really struggling until after. My parents didn't even know I did cocaine until I jumped on Instagram and started telling the world. So
Oh man.
yeah,
Whenever you did that, were you already trying to get better, or was that before you asked for help?
that was before I asked for help. No one ever knew until I started telling the world. Not one. I mean,
Ah,
other than the people I was doing cocaine with, no
mm.
one knew. And then I got on the internet and started telling everyone.
Man, isn't that like, I think that that would have been the best way to kind of break the ice, right? You don't have to watch
Yeah,
everyone's individual reaction.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, and did you have a kind of reversal moment? Actually, I guess that would be your reversal moment, is asking your parents for that help. Saying like,
Where
"Hey, remember that?"
everything changed, kind of thing. Is that what you mean by reversal?
Kind of, sort of. So, like with the Instagram story, you'd be sitting there telling the world all that, but in reverse of that, asking your parents for help is saying like, "Hey, I'm done. Like, remember that Instagram story? Like back then, that's not me anymore. I need
The
help."
the parents asking the parents for help was just for a place to live. My
Mhm.
drinking and drugs came a lot after that. So
Well, still, if without the place to live, you may have not had where you were, right?
well, that's right. Yeah, yeah. If I maybe if I was like properly homeless, it would have been worse, and I could have
Mhm.
maybe did like I don't know, I think I still would have overcome, and I think I still would have gotten help from like thoughts and wanting to be better. But
Mhm.
yeah. What
I
I don't
think
know what you mean by reversal though.
reversal. So kind of telling everyone like, hey, I'm trying to get better, you know. But at the same time, I guess people don't really have that because it does happen kind of quietly, in a sense, unless you have some intervention of sorts, I
Yeah.
guess.
I kind of popped up on the scene of just um, like being a leader and saying like, I'll never do that again. I already knew when I told everyone that I was never going back. This life is too good of being grateful and striving for better. It's too good to even think about going back. I hate all that stuff. I hate drinking. I hate drugs. There's no way. If you paid me 10 million, I wouldn't take a line. Like I wouldn't have a drink. You know what I mean? It means me feeling proud of myself and me being like who I am right now means way too much to me to go back to any kind of shit.
And I think that that's really awesome that you're proud of who you are now, because that keeps everything else going, right?
That's right. Yeah. For sure.
What are one of the things that you see other people struggle with whenever they're trying to just get better in general?
They're still worried about them. I've touched on it a couple of times. They're still worried about. Yeah, they're still worried about their feelings. They're still worried about them, their problems and what's going on in their life. You need to draw your focus to who you're bringing to the world, who you're bringing to the people that you say you love. You're going to go tell your family you love them and then bring them some fucking dumbass that can't put down a bottle, or like some fat ass that can't stop eating, or like someone that's like always lazy, or someone that, sniffs lines in private and doesn't tell you. You're going to bring people that's what you need to get out of. You need to stop giving a shit so much about your own feelings and start being better for everyone else. That's the first step to all this.
I do love that. And you have mentioned that before, and you were correct that the last step of like AA and stuff like that is to help others. So I love it because, in a sense, it just brings it full circle. To get out of it, you got to do the last bit of it that helps other people get out of it.
If you can teach it and successfully get someone else there, then you know what the fuck you're talking about. That makes you qualified, Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is the perfect example of like leadership, and also someone that is a good helper, and honestly, I think that you are a great leader whenever it comes to trying to help people get better, because one of the things about good leaders is that they do go through periods of loneliness. But whenever you mentioned it earlier, you said something about you turned that loneliness into the good, like, kind of loneliness, and that's solitude.
So that's right.
You found solitude, and a lot of people don't know what solitude is. They think that they want they want to be alone, but really what they want is solitude, and you can't find that unless you're at peace with yourself, I think.
They want to be at a point where they need nothing. Solitude is needing nothing. You don't need no person, you don't need no sex, you don't need no food. You just want to be you, and you just want to do good. That's I got goosebumps right now. That's what it is. People want to be at a place where they don't need anything, and people kind of get there. They say they don't need money and stuff like that, but that's you're too stuck in the moment. That's you living right now, which is good, but you need to think about what's to come afterwards. You're gonna need money to help more people. You're gonna need money to give your family the best life they could ever live and experience more and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and doesn't that suck that money is a necessary evil? Well, it's not necessarily evil if you use it right. And
that's right. Yeah, it's the person, and it amplifies who you are.
Ooh, that I think is probably the best way I've ever heard money described, because everyone's always like, money's the root of all evil, or this, that,
person
or
was
another.
already evil. Yeah. Yeah.
Money just amplifies who you were.
That's right. The people that want power and stuff like that want to control people, and they get a lot of money, they end up doing that. The people that want to help people, they get money, they do more of that.
Oh, man. I never thought about money really that way, because there's also that saying that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so a lot of people attribute money to power. And so if you have a lot of money, you have a lot of power. And so if you have a lot of power, you're corrupt.
Yeah. Well,
So,
that saying of money is the root of all evil is true. The people that want, depopulation, the people that want mass control, the people that want humanity to be suppressed, they use money to do it. But that doesn't mean that you can't get money and be good. That's a black and white way of thinking. You can change it and use money to however you want it, and you can't you can't impact the world unless you have money. You need it, you know. It's just how we are. We listen to people that have done stuff. We listen to people that have things. It's just, if you want to inspire and impact, then it's just something you got to do. Do good with it.
yeah, this is true. It does. It sounds like you're really big on resources are entirely just that, resources. They are things to be used for one way or another, and it's about how we view them and how we are going to use them, such as time that we have with ourselves.
You could say that. You could say the same thing for like having a six pack and a great physique. You could be the person that just loves themselves, and you can be the person that just like fucking looks at themselves all the time, or you can be the person that like tries to inspire other people, and like you could look like this, and you should look like this. You should love yourself and be proud, and you should want this and kind of stuff like that. It's the same thing. It's using the result to either just benefit you in forms of like you want more power, you want more, to just feed your ego, or you're using it to inspire and you're using it to help the masses, which is what every person is here for. People just, I don't know, some people are just fucked up, I guess.
Yeah. No, you're right. Some people really do just want to seemingly want to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
And those people do go against what we talked about earlier, where we think people are inherently good. But I think that those people were, but they were just hurt a long time ago, way deep down, and never really got over it.
Probably, yeah.
And the best kind of thing that we can do is maybe a tolerance of some kind. But at the same time, we can only do so much, and we have to set our boundaries with others. Because if we set boundaries with others, such as I can't really hang around old friends that we're using and stuff, right? Because if I hang around them, they're probably going to bring me down, because it's easier to lower a frequency and vibration than it is to raise it.
That's right. That's right.
So I have to change those behaviors and those patterns and set those boundaries, and that can be a really hard thing to do, don't you think?
Yeah, you're gonna have to let go of a lot if you really want to change. One of them things is going to be the people in your life. They're going to have to change. Okay, and you're going to try to change the people that were with you along the way, and they're not going to be ready. And that's just the way it is. You got to take it as a way to, I don't know, I always take like inspiration from like, if I become like this, hyper successful external person where I have a lot of money, I have a lot of influence, I have a lot of all that kind of stuff, then maybe I can bring those people with me. But they don't want to change, otherwise they would already. So you, at your beginning stages of changing, aren't going to influence the people that haven't changed and don't want to do it. Because you've got nothing to show for what, come change and be sober, it feels so good. And they're like, well, drugs feel so good, so I'm just going to stay here. You keep doing that weird stuff. And it's just, you got to gain results and gain some credibility to really be able to bring people with you. But yeah, that's, none of my people are the same anymore. And that's just the way it is, man. Most people just stay where they are.
And that's one of those sad and hard truths to really get behind, too. Because like you said, we want to change the people that we were with because we want to see them do better because we love them.
Yeah.
And it's one of those that I have to love myself enough to let that person go. Otherwise, they're going to bring me back down.
The worst part. And it's like it can't happen. They're not ready to change. Otherwise, they would have done it already. And the thing is, if you jump in the way of their lessons, and if you jump in the way of like their destiny and the path they have to walk, you're going to be paying debt. The universe is going to punish you for getting in the way of their downfalls, because the downfalls are what bring us up. It's called rock bottom, right? It means you have to hit a bottom point and then rise up from that. If you're stopping them from that, you will be given hardship in your life because of it. The universe will punish you for it. So you just got to let it be, man. If they were supposed to be more, if they were supposed to be saved, then trust in the process and let destiny do its thing, and let God do its thing, and let the universe do its thing.
Yeah, man, I have not heard it put that way, and I think it's beautiful because it really does just kind of tie everything together, right? Like, in the end, it'll be the way that it is for everyone else, and how am I going to play my part in what I can do?
Yeah, one of the quotes that I love, it's actually my own, is stop trying to save people and show them what it looks like to save yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you'll inspire people more than you'll force them to change,
Yeah, that's true. And programs of recovery are all about promotion and not I already forgot the other word. But essentially, if I try to push it on people, it's not going to work. I just have to show them what it actually does for me.
Yeah, we're given freedom of choice, which means if you're trying to force something on someone, they'll take them as like, you're trying to decide for me and I don't want to do it. So you give them a choice. And a great way to do that is content. A great way to do is to upload on Instagram and talk your story and bring people, well, not Instagram, anything really, but tell people of how you changed, and then they're going to come to you and ask, how do I make this happen? And that's your lead to show them the way. But you got to give people a chance to. The internet's good because you can just swipe past it if you don't want to listen to it,
Yeah.
But you can't do that in person. We're stuck talking, like, it's something, you're going to have to be like, I don't want to fucking hear this. It's going to have to be controversial, and people don't want that.
Yeah. Some people really, I think, don't want that controversial aspect because they're still avoiding that accountability, don't you think?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They don't want to, but they haven't even realized that what they're doing is ruining their life. You telling them it's ruining their life, it's just going to make them pissed off and think you're an idiot. So you're better off telling the masses, telling the camera that what you're doing is ruining your life, and letting people make their own decisions. Be like, oh, he's. It kind of feels like he's talking about me a little bit, and then they're going to have to take a couple of steps more, and then realize that he's really talking about me. What this guy says is exactly me, and then they're going to take more steps and more steps. But it's just like you're just planting trees,
Yeah. Oh, planting trees. I love that. We are getting near the end of this episode, unfortunately. But there is one question I love to ask everyone, and would you be willing to be back on the show at some point in the future?
Yeah, dude, let's schedule it. I love these things.
Sweet. I love it. This has been an awesome conversation. I love your mindset. I love your story because, like you said, it's unique. You were able to get to where you are without the conventional programs of recovery and stuff. And we can dive into so many different rabbit holes that we got so many conversations to have that I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Sounds good.
But everyone, this has been Nathan. Buttigieg. I don't know why, but the first thing that pops in my head is Boutiage. I think
I've gotten Bugatti before. That was a good one.
But this has been Nathan, and be sure to check him out. Do you have any socials that you'd like anyone to check out?
Yeah, I'm on everything, but the main thing is Instagram. Hit me up. My name with an extra G. NathanButtIeggiegg on Instagram. Send me a message. Tell me you listen to this podcast and you like what I say, and let's just have a conversation like normal people would.
Awesome. I love it. And everyone out there, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity. This has been Keegan and Nathan, and thanks for listening once again on WDGAY 99.1 FM. Until next week.